the way that you work sounds a lot like mine's. If you open anything, my phone, my iPad, my laptop, you will see that there are
all the tabs open.
too many tabs, because I'm looking at one thing and then it reminds me of something else, and I think I've got to do about something else, and I'm looking at something else again, and so there's all these tabs. But is yours like that?
Yeah, 100%. I just got, like, I'll have a question in my mind, I'll Google it, I'll read about it for like 2 minutes, forget about it, go on YouTube, watch a video, that will lead to other questions, go back, and I'll just have endless tabs.
But out of all those tabs, I mean, do you finish with those tabs, or do you leave them up?
No,
do you leave them there
open.
because you don't go back? Because you're thinking to yourself, you're going to go back to it.
Yeah, I'm like, later, I'll go back. And I don't go back unless, like, I need to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same here. I'm the exact same. I think I've got over 100 tabs open on my
wow.
phone in the internet section. I'm
No.
bad with it. I am seriously bad. And so the same thing stands for you, really, is when you're doing a bit of everything. Now, I wouldn't say, especially if you're writing an essay, if you get a brainwave about what you're going to put in the next paragraph, then jot it down. But go back to finishing that paragraph, because what you do when you complete something is you create a good habit. You create the good habit of completion, because when you complete something, you learn from that completion. You learn how to do something. You've done something from the start to the finish, and you've learned something. And to really test whether you've learned that thing is that you can then take what you've learned and teach someone else. And that shows learning, that you can pass on that information.
Yes.
But if you don't finish it, you won't learn from it. If
That's
you want it to sit in your mind, if you want it to
it.
be something that's productive and something that helps you in the future, you have to complete. So as much as I hear that, it sounds like, and this is the reason why you got to rip up your original list, because you will keep going back to it.
Yeah, I'm
and
a bit
you will
of a
allow those
perfectionist as
things,
well.
and as a perfectionist, and as not wanting to get it wrong, and not wanting to fail, because that's another thing. We have a huge problem, and Americans always say this, especially when you like look at American entrepreneurs. They're always saying, fail to win, fail 1,000 times, win once. That whole kind of be proud
the Michael Jordan story.
I'm the biggest failure, kind of thing. Whereas over here, we're very scared to fail. We're very scared to get it wrong. And in not failing, we're not learning. We don't realize. If a failure is only a failure if at the end of that failure, you don't ask yourself, what did I learn from this?
If you can't improve upon
what can I do differently?
Exactly.
It gives you an opportunity to improve and be better. But a lot of times we're scared to do that, to make that failure, to take that leap, to do that thing. So to let those things go in order that we can focus on this thing and make sure that this thing is great.
Yeah, I also see myself as a risk taker, like not even calculated risk, like just dumb risk. I'll just dive into something, and a lot of people always like kind of like reprimand me for that. Like, you're being silly, like what's it going to lead to? But I always look at it as, no matter what happens, by taking this risk, I'm not talking like silly risk, like drugs or whatever. I'm talking like opportunities, talking to people, whatever. People wouldn't expect me to, be in league with people, but I'll just go out and do it. And people say, it's silly, there's no point even trying. But I know no matter what, I'm going to learn something. That's the guarantee. I'll learn how to approach next time better, or I'll learn that, okay, I can do this. I do have a personality that can gravitate towards people and stuff like that. So how many like risks, and how did you manage that when you came up with your business?
I don't know. I feel like
starting a business itself is a risk.
Yeah, every time that I put money into something or buy something, pay for something, that's a risk, because I'm losing money. And at the moment, I'm not in a place where I'm making that back. At the same time, what you're saying, throwing yourself into situations, sometimes you just got to ask, because the worst thing anyone can say to you is no. The worst they can do is shut a door in your face. It's not, you will bounce back from that.
100%.
You will totally bounce back. So in the same vein, going to other businesses that do similar things and just asking, like, can you give me some advice? How do I do this and how do I do that? I mean, initially there's a part in my brain that's telling me, don't ask them, because they're your competition. They're not going to want to help you. But surprisingly, there's always people that are. People that go, yeah, sure, that sounds great. Yeah, I'll give you a bit of advice. Do this, do that, and do it like this and do it like that. And you're always going to come across people. Sometimes, I went to an event recently, and I told a lady, I'm doing this, I'm doing sauces, and I expected her response to be, oh, okay, great, yeah, sure, I'll give you some feedback, I'll try it. And her response was, oh, well, I make sauces as well. And it was very defensive.
Yeah, it's like unexpected.
It was unexpected. It was defensive, and that's someone that I went to thinking that actually it was going to be more of a positive kind of interaction, whereas it felt a bit like, well, what are you doing? Because I want to do pretty much the same
Yeah.
thing. And then it felt a bit like, oh gosh, so you're trying to fill me out to see how far along I am, like testing the competition. I didn't come here for this.
So did you give that vibe back, or
No.
how was the energy?
No, I was like, that's good, making sauces. Okay, do your thing.
But I'm gonna do it better. No?
In my
A
mind.
little bit of, yeah, in your head.
In my head. It's not even about I'm going to do it, but I'm going to do it different. Like,
Different, yeah.
Your sauce tastes different to mine because we have different recipes. And someone might like yours and someone might not like mine, and vice versa. We'll just have to go for different audiences. Maybe it's going to be the way that we brand, it's the way that we market, it's how we position, it's what shelf we want our product to sit on. You know,
Yeah.
whether you're going to be in the ethnic food aisle or whether you're going to be in the free from aisle. Where are you going to sit? How are you going to like
Finding
put
your
yourself?
place, your
Finding
niche. You'll have your
place,
audience.
niche. You'll
Yes.
have your audience.
Yes. That's what I'm looking
Definitely.
at, building myself, my own audience, hopefully. But
What do you see your audience looking like?
like me, kind of. Not exactly like me. Obviously, that's just an analogy. But like, just say people around my age, same type of background, etc. But I also want to be able to penetrate different audiences so that they can find people like you and other people I have on here that they would have never known about because they're from like a different world. And like giving that exposure, that's what I'm trying to achieve here. Yeah.
Yeah.
You mentioned when we were talking earlier that you went to uni, and what degrees did you do again?
I did sociology with criminology.
Okay, so that's like completely different to where you're at now.
Completely different, and it was good. I enjoyed it. I still very much enjoy more the sociology side. Not that I'm not a fan of criminal justice. It's just not as interesting to me.
So what made
as
you take that
people
then?
issues. Do you know what I think? I think that when I was younger, I was more of a people pleaser, and I think that I did what I thought people felt
yeah.
would look like a better degree. So criminology, it seemed closer to kind of law and stuff, and so it
Yeah.
sounded a bit something
A lot
more
of
respected,
people-
whereas a lot of people are
a lot of
like,
people.
you know, social sciences degrees, sociology, do with criminology, and
Yeah,
it
and
doesn't
it's
look...
kind of like, so people also see it as like obscure. So like, if you say like you have a sociology degree,
What are you going to do?
yeah,
with
what
that?
are you gonna do exactly?
Exactly.
So
yeah.
what made you take like the leap from these degrees, which I'm sure they could get you a very sound job, sound position, to like just jumping in, dealing with food and condiments?
I think I just got to a place where I thought to myself, if I don't do this now, I'm never going to. I don't have a mortgage or dependents. I could have that next year. And so if I don't make use of this bit of freedom that I've got in my life right now, it's going to be harder. It's just going to get harder as time goes on. It's not going to be something that's easier to do. And so I thought, okay, let me start jumping on, seeing what's out there, what opportunities are out there, what support is out there. What I used to do before as a job is I worked for charities. So I worked for like homeless charities. I worked with homeless families and individuals, people with substance misuse issues, and the families fleeing domestic violence. And then I went on to working for the probation service as a probation service officer with medium to high risk offenders. And leaving that, I think it's a twofold thing. I think in one sense, it was like I wanted to do something for myself. I've always loved food. I've always had a passion for it. I was never really encouraged to pursue it because I was book smart in school. It was something that was discouraged in my school.
And we'll get into the whole education thing in a bit.
So I didn't go down that route, and so I thought, this is my time now. Stop pleasing other people. Start doing things for me because it's my life, and I don't want to get to a point where I'm looking back and having regrets because I was doing things that other people thought looked good on my CV rather than doing what made me happy. And then also, I think working for charities and also the government, but trying to help people, I felt very limited because everything comes down to money. And if you really want to affect change, there's always going to be like some kind of financial burden attached to that. And I would love to get into a position where I have a business that's turning over enough profit that I can then invest in the charities and the causes that I care about.
Yes.
And you can't do that. At the end of the day, like, it's limited how much you can do. I mean, even working in a charity, there's good things you can do, but you're still limited because you don't have the financial freedom to really invest in the projects and to really invest in the work that you think matters, that I think matters. Even I was seeing projects being closed and finance being cut to so much stuff that was really good and really
must
effective.
be like heartbreaking, because like some of these things are so important to society, but we just don't have, you know, the means to fund it. And there's also like a responsibility on people with that means, kind of. Like, I see it as that way, because if you're like so wealthy, like to the point where you never have to do anything again in your life, your children have to do anything, and then even their children, I think like there should be something that you should be doing there to help. But that's just my view. I don't know if you agree, if you think it's all about...
I think there are some super rich people that do help, and I think there's probably some super rich people that don't. And I think it's weird. It's mad because I think as well, a lot of the people that we follow, especially coming up from urban backgrounds, when we see rich people, a lot of them are entertainers or whatever, they're in that industry. And when you see rich rappers and stuff and they spend ridiculous amounts of money on the chain, you just think... And I know some of them do give back and they do charitable work and stuff, but then still you just think, you spent all that money on a chain, so I'm just going to rob it from you. It's like some
crazy chain as well.
Crazy. So that is tacky looking almost. So it's just, it does feel like that. And I think unless you're really throwing yourself into a different kind of realm of business, so for example, if you're into, I don't know, entrepreneurism, then you might start following business people and motivational speakers and stuff, and then you start to get to know about other big business people that do stuff and give back and are quite positive role models, but they're not famous like that. You know, they're known in those circles. They go under the radar. It's like they go under the radar of the mainstream. So you don't really have those examples to guide you. And I remember saying to my uncle as well, I think it was last year, he was saying, said to me, oh, why are you doing this? Like, why did you give up your job and all of that? And I said, because I want someone in the family to show everyone else that this is an option. Because growing up, there was no business. There's no business people in my family. There's no one that owns a business, or at least not in my immediate family. Everyone works for someone. I was like, you all work for someone. You all turn up on time, and it's like, you know, you get that salary, and that's fine. But, you know, there's no entrepreneurs in our family, in our circle. And because of that, I didn't grow up seeing it being done. A lot of people that I see who kind of went through school and then uni maybe or whatever, and then went into business, it's because their mum, their dad, their uncle, their auntie, someone near to them did it, and so they saw that actually it's a viable option. I think a lot of people, they have that, like, that pressure from their family to like go the traditional route, like get a degree, get a safe job, and you know, all of that. But I've been reading a book called Rich Dad Poor Dad. Have you heard of it? Yeah. Have you read it yourself? I have not read it myself, but I've heard a lot about
Definitely worth a read, because like what it teaches you is like the foundations is the rich, they don't work for money, but they have money work for them. That's like the main lesson. And it's all about financial what's it called, just like being financially literate. That's it. You know, understanding money and how it works, and not just, you know, because a lot of people, they see their house as a asset, like it's something that's theirs that, you know, they own and whatever. But in this book, it teaches you that your house is actually a liability, and to kind of support that, you need to be wise with your money and, you know, buy assets, not liabilities. Like, invest your money in things that are going to turn the money on its own. So you don't need to be there. You can live.
Residual
and you
income.
Just have that, exactly. Have that money working for you.
Definitely.
Yeah. I'm talking about education, because if my audience is like me, then they're going to be at a point where they probably see education as like one of the only things that is guaranteed for success. But clearly we've seen that it's not. And a value that I've always held is, you know, I'm in education, I'm very competent. Like, I can succeed in it, but I've always valued the knowledge over the education. So I always seek knowledge. What are your thoughts kind of on education as a whole?
I think that I think it's a shame when people kind of feel pulled away from the education system, when they feel like it's not for them, because there's different types of intelligence, and not everyone learns the same way, and not everyone learns at the same time and at the same pace. So I felt that it was later on in school for me that numbers started to make sense, that I actually started to enjoy maths. It wasn't something that I initially enjoyed. And then there's also your different learning difficulties. So like for me, I have a slower reading speed than average Joe, according to tests.
Yeah.
But I still enjoy reading. It just takes me longer. But under a pressured environment, so if you're in a test or something, I feel like, oh, I can't do this, I can't read it fast enough. But in my own leisure time, I can read books. It's something I enjoy doing. I'm always reading. So it's not something, it's a one size fits all glove, and everyone's got different size hands.
Yeah. 100%.
And as for learning, I think it should be something that's just encouraged in many different facets, whether you're someone who learns through listening, someone who learns your kinesthetics, or you learn through doing, whether you're an audio learner. What's, I think, most important is that you learn about yourself and how you enjoy learning and what you enjoy learning. So spend the time to work out whether you're a visual learner, so whether those revision notes need to be diagrams and spider little spider diagrams and stuff, and charts and colours, because that's what's going to sit in your mind, or whether you need to record yourself reading through your notes and listening to it back, because that's what's going to help you to remember, or whether you need to have notes all around the room and you need to walk around reading each one, because that's what's going to help it stick into your mind. Enjoy research. It doesn't always have to be something that comes from a book. There's videos on everything. Anything that you don't know or don't understand,
especially now,
there's a YouTube video for it.
Literally anything. You can just type anything in and you'll get some sort of answer or help, whatever it may be. Someone's asking the same questions as you.
The exact
so like seek the knowledge. That's the main thing.
Seek the knowledge and enjoy seeking the knowledge, and never stop seeking the knowledge. Constantly aim for self-improvement, self-growth. Like you will last longer in life in general. If you keep reading, if you keep learning, you're fighting off dementia. You're fighting off the regression of the brain. So keep striving to be better and do more and know more. It's fun. And I think it's when the education system kind of fails people, is in when they start believing that it's not fun. It's not fun to read. It's not fun to learn. It's not fun to learn more.
And like the way I've seen it is, you say you're a sociologist yourself. You have that degree. It's like streaming. It kind of it already sets certain people up for failure, because I feel like the learning in the classroom only accommodates for one type of person, the person that learns that way. And people that grow up in different environments, like different circumstances in the household, they may not have like the same type of temperament to have someone talk at them or have such authority over them. And when we get into the education system, those people are automatically seen as the ones that are pushed to the lowest streams, whereas the people who conform to that, like Asian families, upper class white families, they're pushed to the top because they're able to learn in that way. But people from urban environments not necessarily attuned to that, so they get streamed into lower sets. That's kind of how I see it.
Streaming and banding, it's not healthy. It's not.
It's a very outdated system.
I've heard about a school that they give kids different letters, and then they don't tell the parents, and all the parents are going crazy trying to work out, am my child in the lower set or not, because they won't tell us what class is what. But it does, subconsciously that child takes on that I'm not good enough, or I'm not that smart, I'm not as smart as them. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy, because you put that label on them by putting them in that group. I think it has a lot to do with, because it depends, because when you said even like Asian families, it depends on whether or not in that family that the parents can speak English fluently, whether they're literate, because if not, then they're also at a disadvantage. Those kids are at a disadvantage because they're not going home and able to kind of practice what they've learned, or the English that they're speaking might not be as fluent as the English of someone whose parents are speaking fluently English. But even then, if your parents speak a kind of very informal English, lots of like slang or rhyming slang or whatever mixed in there, then you're still not speaking the same English that you're writing down on your paper in your exam. And that can also be difficult, because if you don't know the difference, that affects you right through, so going from a place where in school your essays aren't getting marked as well because your written English is just as bad as your spoken English, and then when you go to get a job, when they hear you on the telephone, they say, oh, you know,
Yeah, dude,
hasn't got a good telephone.
You already
manner.
got a judgment of you.
You've already got a judgment on you because of the way that you sound. But that is, yeah, I think that's very much there is a lot of classism, I think, involved in that. And then yeah, the education system doesn't account for those disadvantages, whether you have a desk to even sit down and do your homework at, whether you have the space. If you've got all you and your brothers and sisters crammed into one room, you haven't got that space, you've got lots of noise and busyness going around, it's going to be very difficult for you to do your coursework. So there's a lot of different factors that play into one another. Do you have enough food in your belly? Can you focus? Are you eating the right food to help you focus? Are your parents able to help you with your homework? Are they literate themselves? Are they turning up to your parents' evening? Are they about, or are they working every hour that God sends to keep
important.
food on the table?
Are they there as a role model as well?
Are they there as role models? You know, what you see is what you become. It's horrible saying, I hate it, but statistically that is what it is. If you see people around you doing a certain thing, which brings me back to what I was saying about me saying to my uncle, I want to do it because someone in our family needs to do it. You see a lot of people, like I said, entrepreneurialism running in families. My dad ran a corner shop, and then I run this multinational business because I saw business as something that was doable, that was viable, that, you know, is normal. Whereas if you've grown up in a place where you know all you do is work in this place, you work for someone else, where do you get started?
Yeah, it can be hard because if you're in that position, you just get content with working for someone else, and you'll always be like working for the money. And as I said,
for the money and chasing your tail
Yeah,
financially.
exactly. So when starting this like whole journey, for me, my team is a very important part, like of motivating me, cultivating our ideas, everything like that. Did you have a team yourself?
No, I just had myself.
Solo.
I just had myself. No, I didn't. I have friends and family who were supportive. I don't know. I think it's a twofold thing. I have friends and family that are supportive, but then also I think there's a certain level to which I even open up to them. So, you know, I could have told my friends a lot more about what I was doing and how I was doing it and stuff, and maybe asked for help a bit more than I did. But I think for me, I didn't. I wanted to do as much as I could myself before starting to ask other people. So I wouldn't say, oh no, you know, they weren't there, because people were there and they have offered. My mum has been amazing.
Yeah, mums are amazing. Shout out to all the mums.
Shout out to all the mums.
They'll support you no matter what.
So supportive. And yeah, like hearing her even talk to other people, this is what my daughter's doing and stuff. I'm like, wow, like you're proper on my team.
Yeah, with my mum, it's like she'll never say it to me. I'm always getting
same.
Like, you know,
what other people come up to you. Your mum's always talking about you.
Yeah, exactly.
Same.
Yeah, or I'll hear her on the phone like, yeah, he's done it, he's got amazing results, whatever. But to me, it's like just clean your room type of thing. Yeah, I think that's a special relationship.
It is, and I think as well, like some people, I think our parents come from a generation as well where they're told like you don't want to tell them too much good stuff because it'll big up their head and it'll mean that they're like boasted and stuff. But actually, I think parents should more. I think they really should show their kids that they're on their side and that they are proud of them and they're proud of what they're doing and stuff, because that helps. And I think I haven't read Rich Dad Poor Dad, but I think that's part of it as well. When I like listen to kind of the inspirational speakers kind of quote it that I follow, it's that, you know, having those parents really championing you helps.
So like in Rich Dad Poor Dad, it's like the way the rich dad teaches his child to like about life in general and working and money is completely different to the way his poor dad does. So his poor dad will say things like, we'll go down to simple things like if he sees something and he can't afford it, he'll say, okay, I can't afford it. We can't get that. But his rich dad will be like, how can I afford it? It's like that simple mentality switch. And then if you apply that, you really see it takes a hold and it can change your mentality completely.
Yeah, I think just hearing you say that just makes me think about obstacles and challenges. And if you see something as an obstacle, you will always be stopped by things. Yeah,
it's because if you put out the statement, I can't afford it, you've already shut your mind off from thinking of
about
options
of how
but if you're asking the question, you know, it's going to get your mind thinking more.
Yeah, it's a challenge now.
Yeah,
how can I afford it?
So
Okay.
you got any like final points
Yeah.
about starting a business and
starting a
your own journey?
business. I'm not even going to talk about my journey. I just want to wrap up by saying that if it's something that you want to do, get on Google and Google everything. In fact, do what I said, with the spider diagram, write in a question, I want to
Yep.
start a business.
I think
And
I'm
then
gonna start
throw yourself
that
into
listing.
flow.
Yeah.
Start listing, who do I think can help me? Who do I know owns a business? Can I ask that friendly man at the corner shop? Well, get on Google. Government site can be a bit daunting, but there are so many charities, organizations, non-profits that work in every single borough that I've seen across the city, and abroad internationally, that want to help young entrepreneurs. If you're under 30, there is tons of support out there. You've just got to search for it. And one of my tips as well is, if you go onto like a site, and it's something that offers support for young people, scroll to the bottom of the site and see who sponsors them, because the chances are that they also help young people. So always look for another thing. Always look for the next thing. Don't just go, oh yeah, I found the Prince's Trust, I'm going to stop there. You found the Prince's Trust, they offer you this support, but now you need that support. Where are you going to get that? Keep asking questions, keep being inquisitive, keep sharing your dreams, your goals. Don't be scared to put it out there, because when you do, things will come to you, people will come to you, and people are a lot more helpful and open than you a lot of the time give them credit for. So give people the opportunity to help you along the way.